The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter. The Island of Whispered Winds. On a small island where the sea meets the sky in an endless dance of blue and silver, there stood a lighthouse that had guided ships safely home for over 100 years. The lighthouse was tended by Magnus Brightwater, a gentle man with eyes the color of storm clouds and hands weathered by salt and wind. But the true heart of the lighthouse belonged to his daughter Celeste, a girl of 16 who possessed the remarkable ability to speak with the ocean itself. Celeste had been born during the fiercest storm the island had ever seen, and the old fisherman said the sea had claimed her as its own that very night. Her hair was the silver white of sea foam, and her voice carried the rhythm of waves against the shore. Most extraordinary of all, she could hear the ocean's whispers, the messages it carried from distant lands, the stories it told of ships long sailed and treasures long lost. Every evening, as her father climbed the spiral stairs to light the great beacon, Celeste would walk to the water's edge and listen to the sea's evening song. The waves would tell her of the weather to come, of ships that needed guidance, and sometimes of ancient secrets hidden beneath the endless blue. But on this particular autumn evening, as the first stars began to appear like scattered diamonds on velvet, the ocean whispered something that would change everything Celeste thought she knew about her island home. The message in the waves. As Celeste stood on the rocky shore, the ocean's voice reached her with new urgency. The waves spoke in an ancient language, telling of a great ship lost 50 years ago, carrying something far more precious than gold, the Aurora's dream. She carries the collected lullabies of every mother, the waves whispered, spelling out the ship's name in foam. They were bound for the great library across the sea, but a storm claimed the vessel. Celeste's heart quickened, knowing the great library protected the world's most precious stories and songs. The loss of such a treasure meant countless children had been deprived of these comforting lullabies. The ocean's voice grew softer, yet more urgent. The ship rests in the cavern of echoes beneath your island. The entrance opens only when the lighthouse beam shines at the perfect angle, and only during the night when the moon wears her crown of stars. Celeste looked up. Tonight was that very night, the full moon surrounded by the crown of Andromeda. Her heart raced with the possibility of recovering something so beautiful and important as she ran back to the lighthouse. Magnus listened to his daughter Celeste as she shared her story. He nodded slowly, stating, "If the ocean has chosen you, we must answer its call. The lighthouse will be the key to unlock forgotten songs." Together, they climbed to the top of the lighthouse. Magnus, guided by Celeste, tilted the beam to shine toward the rocky cliffs at the island's northern edge. As the light struck the cliff face, a miracle occurred. The rock shimmered like water, and an opening appeared, a doorway outlined in silver light, pulsing like a gentle heartbeat. Celeste, feeling the ocean's excitement, led her father through the shimmering doorway. They found themselves in an unimaginable cavern, its walls covered in crystallized sea foam, glowing with a soft, pearl-like light. The floor was warm, smooth sand. In the center, from the clearest water, rose the Aurora's dream. The ship was beautiful beyond words, her hull gleaming like mother of pearl, and her sails, though torn, still shimmered with silver and gold. The most wonderful part was the sound filling the cavern, countless lullabies humming softly in harmonies that embraced the very air, the treasure of dreams. As Celeste and Magnus approached the ship, they could see that its hold was filled with what appeared to be bottles of every shape and size, each one glowing with a different colored light. These were not ordinary bottles, but vessels crafted from compressed sea glass and filled with something more precious than any earthly treasure, the essence of lullabies sung with perfect love. Each bottle contained not just a melody, but the emotion behind it, the tenderness of a mother's voice soothing a frightened child, the warmth of a father's gentle humming, the comfort of a grandmother's ancient songs that carried the wisdom of generations. The lullabies came from every corner of the world, in every language ever spoken, but their message was universal. The promise that someone cares, that safety and peace are real, and that sleep will bring beautiful dreams. Celeste reached out to touch one of the bottles, and immediately a lullaby in a language she didn't recognize filled her mind. Yet somehow she understood every word, every note, every breath of love that had gone into its creation. Tears of joy sprang to her eyes as she realized the magnitude of what they had found. "These need to be shared," she whispered to her father. "Children all over the world are going to sleep without the comfort these songs could bring." Magnus nodded, understanding flowing between them like the tide. But how could they distribute such a treasure? The answer came from the ocean itself, its voice flowing through the cavern like a gentle breeze. "The lighthouse," the waves seemed to say. "Let the beacon carry these lullabies on beams of light. Every night, as ships see your light and find their way safely home, the lullabies will travel with that light, reaching children who need them most. The lighthouse of lullabies." With infinite care, Celeste and Magnus began the delicate work of transferring the bottles from the ship to the lighthouse. Each bottle seemed to sing more sweetly as it was moved, as if the lullabies were eager to fulfill their purpose once again. The ocean helped them, sending gentle currents to lift the precious cargo and carry it safely to shore. Over the course of 3 nights, they transformed the lighthouse into something entirely new. Magnus designed a special mechanism that would allow the light to pass through the bottles, carrying their essence out into the world. The great lens was surrounded by a carousel of the glowing vessels, each one positioned to catch and amplify the beacon's light. On the 4th night, when all the preparations were complete, Celeste stood at the base of the lighthouse and listened to the ocean's final instructions. "When you light the beacon tonight," the waves whispered, "the lullabies will begin their journey. Every child who sees your light, even from the greatest distance, will carry a piece of these songs in their dreams." As the sun set and the first stars appeared, Magnus lit the great beacon as he had done thousands of times before. But tonight was different. As the light passed through the bottles of lullabies, it transformed into something magical. Beams of warm, colorful light that pulsed gently like a sleeping heart. The effect was immediate and wonderful. Fishing boats on the horizon found themselves humming melodies they didn't remember learning. Children in coastal villages felt a sudden sense of peace as they prepared for bed. Even the seabirds seemed to settle more quietly on their cliff-top nests, comforted by the gentle energy that now flowed from the lighthouse, the song that circles the world. As weeks passed, something beautiful began to happen. Ships that encountered the lighthouse's lullaby-laden beams carried the songs with them to distant ports. Sailors would find themselves humming these melodies to their own children, and those children would sing them to their friends. Like ripples on a pond, the lullabies spread from the little island across all the oceans of the world. Letters began arriving from far-off places, carried by ships and seabirds. Parents wrote to thank the lighthouse keepers for the mysterious sense of peace that had settled over their homes at bedtime. Children drew pictures of beautiful dreams filled with music and light. Doctors reported that patients in seaside hospitals were sleeping more peacefully than ever before. Celeste discovered that her connection to the ocean had grown even stronger. She could now hear the lullabies as they traveled across the waves, could sense the comfort they brought to children in places she had never seen. The sea brought her news of babies sleeping soundly in their mother's arms, of frightened children finding courage in the dark, of elderly people rediscovering the peace of their own childhood lullabies. One evening, as she stood watching the lighthouse beam carry its precious cargo into the starlit distance, Celeste realized that they had created something more powerful than they had ever imagined. The Aurora's dream had carried lullabies to preserve them, but now those same songs were living, growing, creating new connections between people all around the world. Every child deserves to feel safe when they close their eyes, she said to her father as they stood together watching their light work its gentle magic. And now, no matter where they are, a little piece of that safety travels with our beacon. Magnus smiled, his weathered face soft with pride and wonder. The lighthouse has always guided people home, he said, but now it guides them to dreams as well. And so the Lighthouse of Lullabies continues its work each night, sending songs of comfort across the endless sea, ensuring that somewhere in the world a child is falling asleep to the gentle melody of perfect love, carried on beams of light from a small island where the ocean itself sings lullabies to the stars.